most valuable things you can do is learn melodies on the drums. Because if you're not going to learn melodies, if you're not going to listen to melodies and interpret those melodies on the drums, you're going to end up treating this instrument differently. You have to understand that this instrument lacks many of the aspects of melodic instruments. For example, many of the aspects of a piano, like you can't play notes necessarily on the drums, right? You can't really, you can control the duration, but you're very limited in the amount that you can control the duration of certain things, right? Like you can't really make the snare longer without changing the texture or technique that you're using. So all of these things, you know, the drums lend themselves to being played like very short, very choppy, very, you know, all those things. And if you learn how to play melodies and you understand that a melody can translate to the drums, you're going to have a better understanding of how the drums fit into a band context as well, I think, in my opinion. So what I want to do today is I just picked a standard that I'm going to listen to. Obviously, I've heard this standard before. I've played it a few times, but I have not gone through the process of figuring it out and orchestrating it for the drums. So what I'm going to do is listen to it and kind of go through that process with you, because I think that process is very valuable, and I think it's more valuable for you to see how I'm gonna struggle through and make decisions and then change my mind, and then all those things are very important in this process. So I want to hopefully you're going to hear that in the playback. For this video, I'm just going to orchestrate the melody between snare and bass drum as a comping pattern, rather than orchestrating it on all the drums without the time. Okay, so with the time. So the first phrase, 1, 2, 3, ba da 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 ga. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I like that. Starting with the bass drum. That works. For me, in my mind. The opposite way, starting with the snare, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so it works. It's like the same. We don't come into an issue of like having to add length to a note in this specific phrase. So that works, except if you hear the melodic shape, it goes up, right? It's a move up, like an interval going up. And if you start with the snare drum, you're going down. The interval is going down. So for me, I think it makes more sense if the bass drum starts, right? Like this, the first fragment of the melody, ba 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 da da, right? Okay, and then it goes right into the second part of the melody. Let's see that. So from the beginning, including the second part. Okay, so there we have to add length to the note. So the way that you can add length to the note is this. okay? You can't really do that on the bass drum. So in this case, if you have a choice between the bass drum and the snare drum and you need to lengthen a note, then the only choice you have is the snare. The two first phrases. That works. If we do it the opposite way, it won't work. And the thing is, when you're doing these melodies, like the actual melody is quite fast, right? So you want to make sure that you're not playing more than 2 notes on one instrument at a time. Because if you're trying to play 3 notes on the bass drum, it's going to be a mess, right? The groove is going to be off and everything's going to be off. If you're trying to play 3 notes on the snare drum, it could work, but also like the groove is just not going to be there. It's going to be too hard technically for you for no reason. So that's kind of the rule, like maximum 2 notes, maximum doubles, basically. Doubles on the bass or doubles on the snare. And then you have to change the voice to make the phrase flow a little bit more, okay? So, we have the first 2 phrases, and then so let's do that. Let's do the first 4 phrases, okay? Let's see. Okay, so those phrases are repeated, right? It's just a phrase that was shifted in time in the grid. And if you have questions about that, let me know. But basically, it's like the same phrase, but it starts on a different beat, right? So far that works. And notice how the last note was short, so ba-da, ba-da. And that falls nicely on the bass drum. So we need a lengthened note there again. All together. Okay, so the ending, more or less, there's some things where you need to lengthen some notes. So let's look at the end. That part. So we need to figure out the orchestration there so that I can do the buzz on the snare at the end. 1, 2, 3. Just the last phrase. Up to that point, I like how that interaction works, and there aren't too many notes on the snare or the bass, but the last phrase, last piece of the phrase needs to change a little bit. So that's what I'm doing now. So we just do that. So it's different. That's why it's weird. So, more or less, that's the idea of how to figure out what part is going to play what and how it all fits together. The most important part is that it sounds close to what the melody sounds like and that there's a flow, that you're not playing too many notes. Okay, that's the problem. Because if you're playing too many notes, you're going to lose the flow. The other thing is, we work this out at a slower tempo. If you learn it and then you speed it up and then you're finding that like, oh, actually, I'm not noticing, but I'm playing 3 notes, which I think in one part I'm playing 3 notes on the snare drum. But I think there's enough space to still be able to play it at a fast tempo. But if you feel like it's not flowing at a faster tempo, then just change something, right? The other thing is, when you get to really fast tempos and you're playing notes, just like if you listen to this drummer, for example, you can hear, like when you're just accompanying the melody, you play specific parts of the melody. You're not going to play the whole melody, right, with the band. Like you wouldn't play this in a band context. This is just for you to learn and to know. And this is a good exercise. And it's for you to learn phrasing and melody. It's not for you to play this with a band, right? So, but the same thing happens like when you're playing faster and you still want to phrase the melodies and learn the melodies. Sometimes you just have to drop some notes. So this will just all, like the more you try this, the more you practice, the more you will understand what to do. If you have questions, let me know.